great. It's a dragon, great. It's a 5 mana, 5/5. Not the best, but I think, if you have a board, this is really, really good. And I don't know, I think this card might be a lot better than some people think. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left. So top 5 cards I'm excited for. Yes, here we go. All right, Icewalker. I like this card a heck of a lot. I really do, because it is a cheap minion. It has 3 health. It is an elemental, and it does something. And it is like, it doesn't set it forever. If it did set that, like, this would be the best, my favorite card. But your hero power also freezes the target. So in Mage, there are a lot of times that you just ping something. Wouldn't it be nice if you could ping and freeze it? Now, 3 health is not very sturdy. It can be cleared off by a lot of things. But this early game, even at 4 mana, if your opponent only has 1 creature, you can start slowing them down. And they have to kind of figure out a way to get rid of this or spend a turn rid of this, because you can just hero power a lot. And the only way it could be better is if somehow we could get Mage's hero power down to 0, which I think only Priest can do that. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Because it's Raza the Chained. So, yeah, whoa. Card turned red. There we go. I really like this card. I think it's really cool early game or late game, especially when you get maybe out Jaina, the Death Knight. Anyway, I think this card is really, really cool. I think this is maybe a really good card. Like, just freezing your minions is such a great stall tactic. Like, Mage in the last set was one of the best. Freeze Mage was one of the best. Like, Frost Nova is still, in theory, a better card, but, I think having this card as giving your hero power an extra effect is really, really good. So I really like this card a lot. I told you I was going to be doing a free Shaman, and this is the type of shenanigans I like to do. So, Murabi, or however you want to pronounce it. How to pronounce.
Marabi. Marabi. Marabi.
Marabi. Sure. Okay, we'll go with that. So, Marabi. Whenever another minion is frozen, add a copy of it. I think that this card, like, 4 health, pretty easy to kill. But I would actually think of it a little bit different. So, like, an underappreciated card right now. Here, let's just switch over. Is Frozen Crusher. 6 mana. After this minion attacks, freeze it. Now, it's an elemental, which is great. It means that it plays into other elementals on curve, like Blaze Caller, Calamos, Primal Lord. And when you talk about freeze effects right now, Shaman is getting a new Murloc, but it also has Frost Shock and Glacial Shard. And these are enemies, and I can't remember if, I think the new Murloc also freezes an enemy. But Frozen Crusher actually freezes itself. And so it freezes itself for a turn. And at 6 mana with 8 attack and 8 health, it's a pretty sturdy minion on the board. Like, it can clear something and survive, and then it's just kind of frozen. Or it can attack your opponent directly in the face, and it's frozen. But the important part is that it is frozen. So, coming back to Morobi for a second, whenever another minion is frozen, not Morobi, add a copy of it to your hand. Not only can you, in theory, copy your cards, or I mean your opponent's cards, but you can also get Frozen Crushers for essentially free. It's not the best thing, but this could be a really interesting card against Freeze Mage too. Like, your opponent plays a Frost Nova, all your elementals are frozen. Slam down Morobi, you're going to get everything back. That's really, really good value, especially if you're getting like a Calamos after you got Calamos Primal Lord, after you got a Calamos Primal Lord in addition from a Servant of Calamos. And then all of a sudden you have 3 Primal Lords that can do a lot. They can do a lot of healing, they can do a lot. Like, I think Morobi is a potentially really interesting thing in Elemental Shaman. Because of the Frost Crushers, like, if you're going late game, getting 6 mana, 8/8s is really good, because you can still cast spells or do something else with your mana. So, I think this card is going to actually be really good, and I'm going to be really sad if I don't get him in 140 packs. Number 3. I should be looking here. Anyway, the first Death Knight on the list that I actually want to talk about is Shadow Reaper Anduin. I really like this card. For 8 mana, you get to replace your hero with Shadow Reaper Anduin. What does Shadow Reaper Anduin do? Well, for a start, as a battle cry, destroy all minions with 5 or more attack. That's really big against Jade Druid in late game. That's really big against a lot of decks in late game. You also get 5 armor, which is really nice, and you don't see its hero power, but its hero power is basically Shadow Form enhanced. So you can hit an enemy for 2, and whenever you play a card, another 2. So people have talked about infinite combos with this, where you have like Lyra and 2 elemental or radiant elementals, which I think could work, maybe. That's certainly a lot of setup. But, oh my god, like the artwork, not the greatest. The purple flame hair, a lot of people already don't like. But I love this guy. Like, just the board clear that he gives you. And you can wait on this card. You do not have to play this card anytime soon. You can wait for your opponent. You can make your opponent think you don't have it, that you're just a quest or a quest priest. Then when he summons big minions, slam this down. You get a board clear. Your hero power is changed. You no longer will really need healing in the late game because of that awesome new obsidian statue. And then, like, you get the extra 5 armor, and that hero power is just really, really powerful. I think that this will be seen a lot. Like this is a really, really, really good card, and I am very much looking forward to including it in basically all my priests, because Shadow or Death by itself is really good, and that's five mana? Is it 5 mana to play that? No, it's 3. But I guess it affects everything on the board. And if you have weak minions, then it's not going to affect your board. So, yeah, this card is amazing. I actually kind of like the artwork. I would be really, really interested to see what the golden version of it looks like. I basically want all the golden Death Knights. Okay, number 2. Had to be a dragon. There had to be a dragon in my top 3. Sindragosa. I really, really love this card. I love the artwork. I think it is probably my favorite looking card in all of Hearthstone for artwork. This is a really awesome dragon. But what are the big things about it? Well, it's an 8 mana, 8 attack, 8 health, which is really good stats, especially for a legendary nowadays, it seems. Anyway, Battle Cry. Summon 2/0/1 Frozen Champions. Now, what do Frozen Champions do? When they die, they get put a legendary in your hand. Now, I think Rotface is actually better because Rotface essentially just plays a legendary. But I think that there are other ways than having to just ping this stupid thing. Like with your hero power, or with Death Knight Jaina's hero power, which I wonder if that'll work. But, you know, like, I'm already thinking of this deck where it's going to be like maybe switch over. You know, I'm thinking to myself, you could trigger it with a volcanic potion, maybe, you know. Like, there's different ways that you could, in theory, do this. And I think that Mage is capable of doing that. There's a terrible amount of destroy your own minions. But the other thing I was actually thinking about is that what do you do when you see Sindragosa, when your opponent sees Sindragosa? Well, they're hopefully going to try not to kill your frozen ones and just go straight for Sindragosa, right? Because it's an 8 mana 8/8. So that thing has to die. It can be a big threat on the board. So, your opponent kills your 8/8. What do you do then? Well, I was thinking slam down into Defender of Argus. It's going to buff both of them and give them both taunt. And since a lot of decks use minions to deal a lot of damage, I think that that's a good way to do it, because you can either then use those 2 frozen champions to do some damage, or just kill them and get your legendaries at this, you know. And a Defender of Argus is 4 mana, so that late game you could afford to spend that and still Fireball or Pyros or Frost Nova, and yeah, I think it's possible. So yeah, it's just one of my favorite cards of the set for so many reasons. I think that it's more interesting because the Warrior one is just kind of simpler to do, and I think this requires more thought and more process into how you're actually going to do it. So yeah, I really like this card. All right, so it's time for my number 1 most excited card in the new expansion, and it is Thrall Deathseer. Now, I love playing